A day's trip to Norton. A long time ago in the dim distant past, so it's told in an old Viking saga, a gang of bold warriors sat in a hut, telling rude jokes and drinking strong lager. Eric the Red took a quaff at his ale and said, "Let's all go for a pillage. We catch the next longship at 10:22 to sack and to rape a small village." Eric the Green said, "That sounds an idea. I fancy a ride in a boat." "Count me in as well," said Eric the Small, "but hang on while I fetch out my coat." "A boat full of men? Yes, that's my cup of mead," said Eric, the nice shade of pink. "And when pillaging's finished and sacks have been sacked, I'll invite them back home for a drink." Rice, the anagram, lent them a boat, and even supplied them with oars. So with plenty of lager, bitter and stout, they set off for alien shores. Eric the Sailor took over the helm to further the aim of the quest. "To England," he shouted, "it's somewhere out there," with his finger he aimed to the west. They followed that finger for 3 days and nights, till a coastline loomed out of the blue. "This must be North Yorkshire," said Eric the Red, "and if not, I think it'll do." They stopped off at Redcar to stock up on rock and go for a walk up the Stray. Then Eric the Small bought a nautical map to show them the way into Tees Bay. "If we sail up to Newport and then we turn right," he said to the expectant crew, "we'll reach Norton by lunchtime if you lot can row, and then you'll have something to do, 'cause Norton's a trading post, heaving with dosh and Angles and Saxons and Jutes. They levy a toll for crossing their marsh, so their coffers are brimming with loot. And when we're ashore at the top of the dock, we'll get out our swords and our axes, and politely request that they fetch out their wives and levy our favourite taxes." But the villagers guessed, as the longship sailed in, though the suits were smart and well pressed, the helmets with horns on were not in good taste. In fact, they were quite overdressed. Egbert the headman planned out a plan to protect their wives and their chattels. To stop raiding Vikings from stealing their stuff, they worked out the strangest of battles. Way out in the marshes, they stood in a row and politely took off their caps. Then Egbert said, "Hi, if you're wanting some fun, would you care to be joining us, chaps?" The Vikings strode out in the mud and the clarts, till they sank to the tops of their wellies. The Angles and Saxons and Jutes shook their heads and said, "Look at that load of Nellies. You turnips, you wallies, you men of small parts, you waste of good inhalation." The Vikings stood glaring and shaking with rage and stamping their feet in frustration. "Did nobody tell ya, you woolly-brained sods? Did nobody warn ya, you twerps? Don't stamp your feet when you stood in a bog, or you'll go splash, plop, gurgle, slurp." Too late this awful warning came from Eric the Old and Bent, as 100 Vikings stamped their feet. Splash, plop, gurgle, slurp they went. Splash, plop, gurgle, slurp 100 times, and the sound of a copious fart, and 100 helmets, horns and all, were left floating in the clarts. In a book of Norse tales from the dim distant past, there's one saga told as a short one, when Eric the Missing and all of his men disappeared on a day trip to Norton.